And now joining me here on March Madness Men's Basketball Chat, Aycock from Warner Media, Turner Sports, Bleacher Report. You wear many hats. March Chadness. We're back talking about the NCAA tournament, the bracket. I am open to anything you can throw at me. I've had to digest this bracket in a short amount of time, and I'm still breathing it here. So, Chad, I want you to fire away and pepper me. Go ahead.
Let's do it, Andy. Yeah, you dropped your bracket prediction last night. We love it. The one thing I noticed right off the bat, you picked 2 1 seeds to make the Final Four, and then you picked 2 to not make the Final Four. So I am curious, out of these 1 seeds, which one has the hardest path to the Final Four?
Of the 2 that I picked to go?
Any of them. You can split it up. I want to go hardest and easiest.
Oh, okay. Well, it's all about matchups, as we know in the NCAA tournament. And to me, the 2 Big 12 teams, and that's why I didn't pick them, and why I conversely picked the 2 teams from the West Coast and Gonzaga and Arizona. You know, we'll get to this obviously, but I love this Iowa team that I saw in person this whole week in Indianapolis. I think they match up well against Kansas. They're a 5 seed. So potentially if that happens, I like Iowa in that Sweet 16 matchup, because also, even though there's a ton of Kansas fans and alums in the city of Chicago, Iowa's going to flood that United Center if that happens. The Hawkeyes, it's an easy drive. There's tons of Iowa and Big Ten alumni in Chicago. So I think it's going to be a great atmosphere if that happens. And I favor the Hawkeyes. So I don't like that matchup for Kansas potentially. And then obviously, even if they got past that, you know, let's say hypothetically they played Wisconsin, even though they're better than Wisconsin, you are potentially in the United Center, or Auburn. And Auburn has slid lately, but they were number 1 for a reason. And when those guards shoot well, and Katie Johnson has not lately, but if he does, and Jabari Smith is arguably one of the 3 best players in the country, I like Auburn better than Kansas as well. The other side, Baylor. Baylor is not as good as last year. We know that. They lost in the Big 12 tournament. They've not been healthy. And I see a number of obstacles for them. They could run in, you know, if Carolina plays like they did against Duke, that high-low.
Yep. Remember,
Jonathan Chacha was out for Baylor. So now you deal with Armando Baycott or
have fun with that.
Yeah, or Brady Manick. So I think that's an issue. You know, UCLA, I think still they could beat Baylor with Miles Johnson, Cody Riley, and if Johnny Juzang and Jaime Jaquez play well. But the to me, the team I don't see them get past is Purdue. Now, or Kentucky, to be honest.
Yeah, or Big Blue Nation.
Whoever wins that battle, and that's going to be an absolute just, you know, physical, huge tussle inside. If that happens, where you've got Oscar Tshiebwe against, you know, Zach Edey and Travion Williams, that's a lot of muscle. That's a lot of weight inside. And whoever survives that, I like either one of those teams better than Baylor down there. You know, the reason I pick Gonzaga and Arizona is as many obstacles that exist for Gonzaga. I just think front court wise, better than UConn, better than Arkansas, better than Rutgers, better than Texas Tech, better than Alabama, who I think they'd have a good revenge game against. And then, you know, I'm not convinced Duke gets past Texas Tech if that happens. I think Texas Tech would defend Duke. I don't think Texas Tech can score with Gonzaga. They already lost to them in Phoenix earlier in the year. So I like the Zags. And then Arizona, they're playing the best basketball in the country. You could have easily made an argument to me that Arizona would be the number 1 overall seed, and I would have no issue. That, you know, no issue if that were the case. So that's that one. And then let's look at this. So Illinois is not healthy. Jacob Grandison didn't play, shoulder injury. So that's a problem. Then, you know, they've got multiple bigs, like 3 that handled Kofi Cockburn in Champaign. So I think they could do it again. At the bottom of the bracket, Tennessee or Villanova, they did lose to Tennessee on the road. I like them in a neutral court down in San Antonio to revenge that one. And Villanova, you know, yes, they have Chris Dixon inside, but I don't think they have the inside game that can hang with the Wildcats. Colin Gillespie's playing great, no question, but he's going to be pressured by Arizona. And that's why I like Arizona to come out of the South. So much of this is about matchups. You know, we're asked all the time. We do it. It's fun to make Final Four predictions prior to the bracket, but it's all about matchups. And that's why I like the Gonzaga Arizona brackets better than the Baylor Kansas ones.
Sure. If you had to pick one, though, which one's easiest? Which one's hardest? Out of those two Big 12, which one's the hardest?
Of the two Big 12,
Sure. Baylor and Kansas. Which one's got a harder path?
Baylor.
Okay. I agree. You could potentially have to go through three blue bloods in Carolina, UCLA, and Kentucky. So
Right. And
that's tough.
especially Purdue and Kentucky. You cannot, without Chamo Chachua, they are very vulnerable inside, and Purdue and Kentucky's strength is inside. So, the game would be in Philly. Kentucky travels well. They'd have a good fan base. Baylor would clearly be the road team in a Philly Elite Eight game against Kentucky, and maybe to some extent Purdue. So I think they have of those two Big 12, they have the harder road.
Yeah, I agree. Let's shift it a little bit to the Big Ten now. Obviously, they had 9 teams in, so there's some pretty good chances that they're going to get to the Final Four. Some teams.
Last year they had 9.
Yeah, that didn't go so well. Michigan helped carrying the Big Ten.
But you know what we forget, Chad, and all the criticism of the Big Ten, which is fair, but Michigan was really close to getting there. They lost to UCLA. They had a lead. They gave it up. And, had Michigan gotten to the Final Four, I'm not saying they would have beaten Baylor or Gonzaga for that matter, but they at least would have had a team in the Final Four after having 9 teams in the field. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But no, this year you did have 2 Big Ten teams in the Final Four, Purdue and Iowa. What stood out about those 2 teams, and why did you kind of overlook other teams like Illinois or Wisconsin, maybe even Michigan State? How'd you settle on those 2 teams out of the Big Ten?
It really came down to the brackets they were in. If Iowa were in the South, I wouldn't have picked them because I love Arizona. But I like the matchup with Iowa and I keep leaning there. We'll see if it happens, but I just like that Iowa would be in Chicago going against Kansas. Keegan Murray is a special talent. I mean, he is big time. He almost never misses, it seems like. And Jordan Bohannon's back making threes. As we saw, he had the banker to beat Indiana. So in the semi in the Big Ten tournament. So I like that matchup for Iowa. And Purdue, they just can't turn the ball over. They were the better team throughout the course of the Big Ten tournament until Sunday, when they turn the ball over way too many times. So credit Iowa's defense. But if they don't turn the ball over, Jaden Ivey can literally just change the narrative of the game in a split second. Hopefully his tailbone's okay. He landed a couple times hard on that tailbone.
That was a tough slip.
Yeah. But, Travion Williams and Zach Edey, when they are on, no one else has 2 players like that. Oscar Tshiebwe is unbelievable inside, rebounder, but he doesn't have a comparable player. But those 2 guys are interchangeable. And the fact that Eric Hunter is making threes really changes things for Purdue. So we'll see if that continues. But I just love, I like the bracket for them. I don't like that Illinois would have to go against Arizona. So that's why I don't have them in. I don't like, Michigan State's not playing well and Tyson Walker's hurt. So that is excellent. Look, Ohio State, if Ohio State had been healthy this year, we'd have a much different discussion about them because EJ Liddell is special. So is Malachi Branham. Malachi Branham is going to be, I think, potentially in the lottery. So they got 2 big time talents, but they are really banged up. Kyle Young out, Zed Keys out, maybe comes back, but they've not been healthy. I'll say this. I actually like the first 4 Big Ten teams to get to the second round. I think Rutgers can beat Notre Dame. I don't like the way Alabama's been playing. They've been all over the map. And I think Rutgers really guards and can guard Alabama. Now, I don't know if they beat Texas Tech, which would be a 44-43 type game. But I like Indiana against Wyoming and St. Mary's. And look, could they beat UCLA? Sure, if that's what happens. But so it's funny because initially they're all squawking about being in the first 4, but I actually like their brackets better than Michigan, which wasn't in the first 4, has to go against a pretty good Colorado State team. And then if they beat Colorado State, they got to play Tennessee.
Yeah, that's a tough draw.
Yeah, I think that's a tougher draw for Michigan than the first 4 Big Ten teams.
Yeah, I liked Indiana as well there. But now, with the way brackets are formed, even after these first 4 games, people can edit their brackets before they officially submit it on NCAA.com. So let's just say hypothetically, Notre Dame and Wyoming both win. Are you going to change your bracket? Are you going to advance Alabama or St. Mary's?
Yes. I didn't know you could do that. And if you can, I will. Thank you.
You got it. Well, good deal. We'll keep an eye out for that late Wednesday, maybe even Thursday morning.
Okay.
Let's have fun with this next question, though. I know, Andy, you just driven in you would never pick a 16 over 1. Like, you just watch all these teams. You're like, these teams are just objectively better. But it's happened once. If you had to pick one, who has the best shot as a 16 seed to upset a 1 seed?
Well, I'll be there because I'm working the Portland Regional for TNT and TBS. I've talked to Mark Few, and he's not too happy about it because, I don't know if we have how good your historical knowledge is, Chad, but I don't ever remember a Sun Belt team being a 16. I mean, the Sun Belt's not a bad league, and Georgia State, obviously, every team's different, but they have history of playing well in this tournament.
They were 14 when they beat Baylor, right?
Yes. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was a 14-3.
Mm-hmm.
I really was surprised that Georgia State was a 16 as a Sun Belt team. So if you're going to make me pick one, it would be that one.
Okay, that's not a bad pick. We'll see how close it is.
No, I mean, based on what we see of the other 16s, do you agree?
Oh yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I agree. Just because of what you said with the Sun Belt as a league, I think it's better than some of these other leagues that are also just kind of in the same conversation, just kind of diluted on the other end, especially with the first four teams that always seem to get smoked in the first round. So yeah, I'd go Georgia State to keep it like slightly competitive. Maybe in the first half they can hang with them, and they get lucky, they get lucky. But no, certainly not picking that. But no, it's a good top pick. Let's see what else we got. Let's talk about some 13 to 16 seeds, because I think these are the picks where they're not as popular, right? And then all of a sudden one of these teams wins. We're like, oh, we didn't see that coming. If you just had to pick out of the 13 to 16 seeds, who has the best chance at upsetting it? Whether you picked it or not, which 13 to 16 seeds do you like?
Okay, well, I'll tell you the one that I think a lot of people will pick, and that's South Dakota State over Providence. The Friars got smoked by Creighton, lost the previous week to Villanova. I mean, look, those are good teams, obviously. South Dakota State's won 21 in a row. Now, this is not the Mike Dome South Dakota State Jackrabbits, but they're good, and they're going to make threes. I think they're shooting well over 40%. So that's going to be an interesting one. I would not be shocked at all if they were to win that one. I don't think this Chattanooga team is good enough to beat Illinois, especially inside. So I'd lean a little away from that one. Vermont, Arkansas is interesting.
The Catamounts.
Vermont ran away with the America East. They have the Ryan Davis, Player of the Year, Ben Shungu. They're going to try to control the tempo. If they get this game in a half court, as athletic as Arkansas is, and certainly can be, if this game gets late, that could be trouble. Once again, not picking it, but I could see it. I wouldn't be shocked if that one were to happen. After that, in terms of the four teams, I don't know if I don't know, not Longwood, not Montana State. I can't see Yale because I don't see their guards being I got one for you. There is one other, and that's Colgate, Wisconsin. If that game was anywhere else but Milwaukee, I think I would pick it. Wow. Because Colgate shoots extremely well. Johnny Davis, now he's got till Friday, but he wasn't healthy. He played, but that was the first game after that ankle injury against Nebraska. Played horribly, shot the ball, was completely ineffective. And they need him, obviously, to be elite. But, that game's at the Pfizer Forum in Milwaukee. It's going to be a total Wisconsin crowd. You think maybe that wills them to win. If it wasn't there, I don't think I would hesitate picking Colgate. So that's another one I could see people picking.
Yeah, not bad. That's good insight there. Let's loosen up the restrictions though a little bit. Now let's just look at double digit seeds. Who could make the Sweet 16? I don't think you had any double digit seeds making the Sweet 16, but who could make that run?
Well, of the double digit seeds,
Yeah, maybe Miami. I mean,
no, I'm going to start. I'll give you one. UAB.
I like UAB.
UAB under Andy Kennedy. He's, been in this position before. Houston, they won the American. They're without their star players. I think that's a toss-up game in a 5-12. And as I said, Illinois is not playing well. So I wouldn't be shocked if UAB went on a run. The other one, even though I really like UConn, once again, would be shocked if New Mexico State went on a little run and could win a couple games. One that I'm going to tell you that I just didn't feel, but as the days pass, I'm starting to think maybe I should have picked it, but I could see Davidson beating Michigan State, especially if Tyson Walker isn't playing. And I could see Davidson beating Duke. So we could have Davidson playing in the Sweet 16 after beating Michigan State and Duke. Bob McKillop, one of the more underrated coaches. He's a college basketball Hall of Famer, no question. Maybe he should be a Naismith basketball Hall of Famer, but I could see that one. The other one that's a little bit of a kind of like last year, with UCLA, where it's weird to call them a Cinderella, but sure. Iowa State, remember at the beginning of the season, they were like 6th in the country. They can beat LSU, which is team turmoil right now without Will Wade and Kevin Nickelberry. So as the interim coach, and they can beat Wisconsin, even in Milwaukee. Sure. So that's one. And then the other ones I'm going to give you is Indiana. Indiana could pull a UCLA, actually beat Wyoming, beat St. Mary's, and beat UCLA.
Yeah,
that could happen. And I said I think the Rutgers Texas Tech game, if that happens, that's going to be a game in the 40s, and then you don't know.
Yeah, anything could happen there.
Yeah.
Well, I like the UAB call because of one main reason. Andy Kennedy's teams, they always seem to just be centered around one star player, whether it's Marshall Henderson or Stephon Moody. And now he's got Jordan Walker averaging over 20 a game with like a 33% usage rate. So there's a guy, if he gets hot, could carry to Sweet 16 and, who knows how far. So that'll be fun to watch. I like that one. But you mentioned Iowa State there. And that feels like a pick where it's like super obvious upset pick, right? Like the entire public's going to be picking that. Oh, LSU, no coach, no chance in this game. How surprised would you be if LSU actually won that game?
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Terry Easton, obviously they've got talent, but they've been really inconsistent down the stretch in the SEC. They started hot, and then they kind of faded into the murky waters of the middle ground of that SEC. So I just don't think they're playing well, even with the head coaching turmoil of Will Wade getting fired. So, and then again, if LSU were to beat Iowa State and they play Wisconsin, now all bets are off if it ends up being Colgate. Like if Colgate pulls the upset and it's LSU over Iowa State, then yeah, LSU's on its way to the Sweet 16.
All of a sudden in the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
Right. Then it seems like that always happens.
Yeah. Something like that definitely could
make the run. Yeah. All right. Couple more questions here. A team like Tennessee is a 3 seed who might feel undervalued, right? Like they're a 3 seed. A lot of people like them as a 2, right? They had so many quad 1 wins, 0 losses outside quad 1. Great. A lot of people pick these upsets kind of based on seeds and maybe less on teams, right? They'll just go, oh, the 3 seed will win this one. They're just kind of throwing darts at the board. What other teams, if you're picking on seed, are maybe a little undervalued that you think are a little bit better than what their seed number says?
Well, I mentioned them earlier. To me, it's Iowa. Iowa's a 5. I think they can go the whole way to the Final Four and compete for the championship. And it's funny you mentioned Tennessee because both Iowa and Tennessee weren't seeded to the way they finished, both winning the SEC, the Big Ten and SEC respectively.
Right.
But let's say they moved up a line, each of them. If Iowa was the 4, they would have been the last 4, which meant they'd be where Arkansas is in Gonzaga's bracket. So now they're suddenly with the top overall seed. Tennessee, same thing, because Duke is the bottom 2. So now Tennessee would have moved to that 2 line. Now you're with Gonzaga. And now you could say, oh, well, Arizona may be better than Gonzaga, and that may be true. But technically, I just think that where Tennessee is in the bracket, and it'd be tough to be Villanova, but it's sort of you're trading things of, do you want to be with the number 1 overall seed, or have a chance to advance further potentially in the other bracket. I think Iowa is the best case of that, though, Chad, where they were a team that was seeded more to their record than their current play, talent, momentum.
Yep. And you've got them in your Final Four. So
yes.
Now let's throw everything out the window. Let's say all chaos ensues in this tournament. What would your chaos Final Four be? And with that, I mean, you can't pick a top 4 seed in any region. Give me your chaos Final Four.
All right. A chaos Final Four in the East would have either Indiana or Murray State. You want to pick one? You can pick one. Who do you like?
I'd go Indiana. I
All
think
right,
Indiana could get hot. They got hot in the Big Ten tournament. I think they could get hot here too.
So let's go Indiana, kind of like last year's UCLA, double-digit seed, first 4 to the Final Four.
Yep.
In the West, a chaos Final Four probably would have, I will say, Davidson.
Okay.
All right, because they can shoot the basketball. In the South, a chaos Final Four.
Sister Jean again?
No, I don't like them against Villanova. Let's say a chaos Final Four has, for the heck of it, let's say Colorado State.
Okay. Wow. Look at that. The Rams. That'll be fun.
And then in the Midwest,
what you got?
The chaos.
I mean, you picked Iowa, but there are 5 that technically counts, but if you were going to go no Iowa, who you got?
If I'm going to go no Iowa, so Iowa loses, complete chaos, then, this is a tough one. I mean, if we want to go complete chaos,
What, like Richmond? They got 4 super seniors. They got 4 super seniors. Let them take it.
Richmond has super seniors galore.
Yeah.
I mean, they might be one of the, I don't have this in front of me, but they might be one of the oldest teams in the bracket. They all came back and they didn't play well this year. And it was surprising. I actually thought they were going to be one of the 2 best teams with St. Bonaventure in the A10.
Sure.
So yes, let's go Richmond.
All right. So we had what? Indiana, Davidson, Richmond, and Colorado State. There's your chaos Final Four from Andy. We'll revisit that one.
Hey, let's put that one out. That'll draw some
let's do
attention.
We'll do it.
All right, Chad. We'll revisit this weekly throughout the course of the tournament.
Good deal. Let's do it.